Betrayed by blood and blindsided by love, Lucy Reeves lost everything to the two people she trusted most, her mentor and her fiancé. But when her past resurfaces with a vengeance and a smear campaign threatens to destroy her for good, Lucy doesn't seek revenge. She rewrites the rules. In a world built on manipulation and masks, can one woman's truth dismantle a legacy of lies without becoming the monster she escaped? I used to think silence was a sign of strength. I believed that if I stayed calm, composed and undemanding, love would reward me with warmth. I thought that if I did everything right, folded his shirts with care, served his coffee the way he liked, never asked for more than what he offered, he'd see my loyalty as something priceless. But instead, it made me invisible. My name is Lucy Reeves. I'm 32, a financial consultant in Raleigh, North Carolina. Until recently, I was married to Nathan Ellis, charming, ambitious, and completely wrong for me. We met at a charity gala for his company 3 years ago. He was the golden boy of Ellison Technologies, the kind of man who turned heads the moment he walked into a room. I was the steady professional with a soft voice and a stronger resume than most people realized. He said he loved that I didn't try too hard to impress anyone, that I was real. At first, everything felt like a dream. Dinners with candlelight, weekend getaways, lazy Sunday mornings where we talked about building a future. I thought I'd found my home in him. But slowly, things changed. It began with small dismissals. He'd laugh at things I said in front of his friends. He'd forget the lunch dates we set or roll his eyes when I brought up work. Then came the cold silences, the ones that wrapped around the house like fog. I told myself it was stress, that every marriage went through rough patches. And then Ivy happened. Ivy was Nathan's half-sister. She was 24 and diagnosed with conversion disorder after a minor car accident. Psychologically paralyzed, they said. She moved into our home a year into our marriage. Nathan insisted. She has no one else, he told me, his eyes firm. I agreed, believing it was the right thing to do. I didn't expect to become her caretaker. I left work early for her appointments, adjusted my hours to be around, learned how to feed, bathe, and support someone who needed constant help. Nathan? He was rarely home. He said it was work, but I knew better. Linda, Nathan's mother, was no help. She visited often but never offered a hand. She simply watched, her eyes scanning every detail like a judge at a trial. You should smile more, she'd say, placing her wine glass down. Your attitude affects everyone in the house. One night, after helping Ivy to bed, I sat alone in the kitchen. I looked around at the spotless counters, the uneaten dinner on the table, the text from Nathan saying he'd be home late again. I realized I couldn't remember the last time he looked at me like I mattered. I cried silently into my sleeve that night, not wanting Ivy to hear. But the next morning, something strange happened. She walked. I caught her in the hallway. Ivy, the girl I had pushed in a wheelchair for 10 months, was standing barefoot, holding a cup of tea. When she saw me, she froze. Lucy, she whispered, eyes wide. I just stared. My chest tightened. You're walking, I said, barely able to breathe. I can explain, she said, quickly setting the cup down. Please, just, let's talk. I sat on the couch in complete silence as she confessed everything. The doctors had been unsure from the beginning, she said. Her symptoms were more psychological than physical. After a few months, she realized she could stand again. But she stayed in the wheelchair because of Linda. She liked me better that way, helpless, easier to control. And Nathan? I asked. He doesn't know. He's never home. That hit me hard. Ivy looked at me with tears in her eyes. You've done so much for me, Lucy. More than anyone ever has. I didn't know how to undo the lie without hurting you. I didn't respond. I stood up, walked to the window, and looked out at the cold winter sky. My heart was numb. My marriage was crumbling, my husband was absent, and the one person I thought needed me had been lying. Days passed. Ivy didn't pretend anymore. She walked around the house slowly, helping with things, staying quiet. Linda hadn't visited in weeks, and Nathan barely came home. I'd begun sleeping in the guest room just to feel some space. Then one evening, Ivy knocked on the door of my room. "I need to tell you something else," she said. "And it's worse." I braced myself. "I think Nathan's seeing someone else." I saw messages. His mom left her phone on the table one day when she went to the bathroom. There were texts from a number saved as backup. They talked about meeting in Hawaii, about how soon it would all be over. I felt like the floor dropped beneath me. Hawaii. Nathan had mentioned a work trip to Hawaii next month. He said it was a conference. I had smiled and said I'd miss him. He kissed my cheek and told me I was amazing. "He's not going alone," Ivy said. "His mom booked the tickets, and the woman. She's going too." I couldn't speak. My hands trembled. "I'm going with you," Ivy said. "We're going to Hawaii. We're going to see for ourselves." "What?" "I've been saving money. From Dad. He left a small account for me. I've never touched it. But this is the moment. And for the first time in months, I saw not the girl who had tricked me, but a woman determined to make things right. Maybe, just maybe, this wasn't the end of my story. Maybe it was the beginning. "I'm in," I whispered. We booked the tickets that night. And just like that, the cracks in my quiet life widened into a doorway I never expected to walk through. Hawaii wasn't just a destination anymore. It was a battleground. And I was done being silent. The hum of the airplane engines was steady, almost soothing, as Lucy leaned back in her seat and glanced at Ivy beside her. 6 hours ago, she had been in a life that looked perfect from the outside but had rotted quietly from within. Now, at 30,000 feet, she was no longer that woman. Ivy looked serene, her sunglasses resting low on her nose, her ponytail swaying slightly with the cabin's subtle tremors. She turned and caught Lucy watching. "Feeling okay?" she asked with a small smile. Lucy nodded. "I think I'm still processing, but I feel lighter." They both knew this trip wasn't a vacation. It was a reckoning. The moment Lucy stepped out of the Honolulu airport, she was hit by a wall of salt-tinged heat. Tourists in flower leis and camera straps bustled around them. But Ivy had other plans, calculated, quiet ones. A reserved cab whisked them away from the crowd, weaving toward a private resort on the quiet side of Waikik. From the moment they entered the marble-floored lobby, Lucy noticed how everything was already arranged under Ivy's name: a suite, spa credit, and even welcome drinks. Ivy handed her a room key discreetly, whispering, "Act like you belong, because you do." In the privacy of their shared suite, Lucy finally asked, "Where did the money come from?" Ivy untied her hair and looked at her with that same calm defiance she'd shown back home. "Dad left me a trust fund. Mom couldn't touch it. I never used it, until now." Lucy was stunned. "You waited all this time?" "I was waiting for a reason, and you gave it to me." That evening, as the sun dipped behind the Pacific, they dressed with intention. Ivy slipped into an emerald silk jacket and black slacks. Lucy wore a navy dress she'd packed on instinct, the kind of dress meant for moments that change everything. "Ready?" Ivy asked. Lucy took a slow breath. For once, yes. The restaurant glowed with soft golden lights. Palm trees swayed in the breeze. From behind a wide, decorative planter, Lucy peeked and saw them. Nathan and Linda, her husband and his mother. Sitting with a woman she had never seen, one whose fingers casually rested on Nathan's like she'd always belonged there. Ivy pointed subtly. "She's the one. I saw messages on Linda's phone. They called her the backup plan." Lucy clenched her fists. Her heart thundered. All those nights she spent wondering where he was, who he really loved. The truth had always been there. Cruel, calculated, and covered in smiles. Then Ivy placed a recorder in her palm. "I hid a mic under the table. Listen." Lucy slipped in the earpiece. "She's emotionally unstable," Nathan's voice crackled. "If we play it right, I won't owe her anything," he added coldly. Linda chimed in. "Compared to Malene, Lucy's just dead weight." Lucy yanked out the earpiece, her hand shaking. "That's enough." With Ivy by her side, she stepped out from the shadows. Their heels clacked against the wooden deck. Heads turned. "Nathan," Lucy called out. He looked up, pale as a ghost. "Lucy, what are you—" She didn't let him finish. I thought you'd like to meet the dead weight in person, Linda gasped. This isn't, Ivy cut in, her voice like silk wrapped around steel. You always called me a burden, Linda, but I've been walking just fine for months. I let you believe I was helpless because it made you feel superior. Gasps rippled through nearby tables. Then Lucy hit play. The recording spilled out across the deck. Nathan scheming, Linda mocking. Faces turned. The other woman stiffened in her seat, her eyes darting around for an escape. You're trying to ruin me, Nathan barked, standing. Lucy laughed. You already did that. I just pulled back the curtain. Security arrived and politely escorted Nathan and Linda away as other guests whispered. The truth was now public. The illusion shattered. The next morning, Lucy called Marilyn Carter, a recommended attorney in Raleigh, as Lucy laid out the details. The betrayal, the lies, the emotional abuse, Marilyn took notes calmly and confidently. You have a solid case for divorce, she said, and more than enough evidence for spousal support. We can also sue the third party for alienation of affection. Lucy felt strength returning to her voice. I want to do everything legally possible. We'll make sure you do. Over. The next few weeks, Lucy worked with Marilyn and Ivy. They dug through messages, photos, and financial statements. Ivy retrieved old chat backups from her stepmother's neglected cloud storage. Every piece added to the mountain of proof. The day Lucy stepped into the courtroom, she wore a white blouse and black pantsuit, crisp, composed, and unreadable. Nathan sat across the aisle, disheveled, alone. Linda didn't even show. When the judge read the terms, division of marital assets, 3 years of spousal support, and a civil claim against Malene Harper, Nathan didn't protest. He couldn't. Later that day, when Lucy saw the first deposit in her bank account, she didn't feel victorious. She felt seen. 3 months later, Lucy's life looked nothing like it did before. She moved into a sleek top-floor apartment overlooking downtown Raleigh. Her job as a freelance financial consultant gave her flexibility and power. No more bending to people who belittled her, no more walking on eggshells. She and Ivy stayed close, their bond no longer bound by family but by battle scars and mutual respect. Ivy finally enrolled in her long-desired graphic design course in Asheville. I never thought I'd get here, Lucy confessed one evening. You didn't get here alone, Ivy said, but you walked through the hardest part on your own 2 feet. One quiet Saturday afternoon, Lucy was tending to her balcony garden when the doorbell rang. She opened the door and froze. Nathan and Linda, but they were not the people she remembered. Linda's posture was slouched, her eyes ringed with exhaustion. Nathan looked lost. Lucy, he began. I know you probably hate me, but we need help. Lucy didn't reply. I lost my job. After the lawsuit, Malene left me. Mom has no one. We just need... Lucy raised a hand. Stop. Linda spoke, her voice small. Lucy, I was cruel, but we're desperate now. We need your help. You once called me worthless, Lucy said. But you know what I learned? Worth isn't something you give. It's something I claim. But... Nathan began. She cut him off. I don't hate you. I just regret wasting so much time on you. Then she did something she never imagined. She closed the door in their faces. She stepped onto the balcony, opened a jar of sea salt Ivy had gifted her, and sprinkled it along the threshold. A symbol. A line in the sand. As the sun dipped below, the skyline casting her apartment in a warm golden hue, Lucy curled up on her couch with a book and a soft pillow Ivy had knitted. She didn't need anyone to validate her worth anymore. She had fought for her peace, and now she would protect it. Lucy Reeves had finally earned the quiet she'd longed for. Mornings began with espresso and sunrise, not manipulation and dread. She'd even grown fond of the distant hum of city life from her balcony, a subtle reminder she was no longer trapped in suburbia's suffocating civility. 3 months had passed since the courtroom victory. Her financial consultancy business, Reeves Advisory, was thriving, thanks to Ivy's design brilliance and Lucy's laser-focused analytics. She had clients from New York to San Diego, most of them women who whispered, I need someone like You in my corner? Yet, even as her professional reputation soared, an emptiness stirred in her. Not sadness, something else, a quiet itch, a curiosity. What if she could take it all further? What if she could destroy everything that had ever tried to destroy her? On a rainy Thursday, Lucy received an invitation. It arrived as a gold-embossed envelope tucked inside her mailbox. No return address, no stamp. The card read, "You don't know me, but I know you. Meet me at the Lair, 9 p.m. Saturday. Ask for room 7. Come alone, no strings, just truth." R.C. Ivy was instantly suspicious. Sounds like a trap. Lucy twirled the card in her fingers. Or an opportunity. "You've got peace now," Ivy said. "Why risk it?" Lucy didn't answer right away. She thought of Nathan's face at her door, of Linda's desperation, of how easily it could all return. "I need to know what they're still hiding," she finally said. Saturday night arrived with a storm that swept through Raleigh like judgment. The Lair was an exclusive club nestled behind an unmarked iron door near Glenwood Avenue. Inside, it felt more like a private theater than a club. Candlelit corners, velvet drapes, whispers behind masks. Lucy, in a black sheath dress and crimson scarf, found room 7 tucked in the far hallway. Inside sat a woman in her 40s, with salt-streaked black hair, dressed in an immaculately tailored gray suit. She didn't rise when Lucy entered, only motioned to the chair across from her. "You're Lucy Reeves," the woman said. "Exactly as described." Lucy sat. "And you are?" "Rhea Carmichael," she replied, "former partner of Nathan, former daughter-in-law to Linda." The room tilted slightly. "You were married to—" "No," Rhea said with a dry chuckle. "I was supposed to be. Nathan and I were engaged 12 years ago, until Linda intervened." She poured 2 glasses of red wine. "She said I was too smart, that Nathan needed someone who could be molded." Lucy blinked. "They broke you apart? And replaced me with a series of women who fit their mold. You were just the latest." Lucy's breath caught. "What do you want from me?" "Nothing. I want to give you something." Rhea pulled a leather folder from her handbag and laid it between them. Emails, bank transfers, property records, all hidden in offshore accounts under shell corporations. "Linda's embezzlement history is deeper than you know." Lucy opened the folder and scanned the first few pages. They weren't just damning. They were explosive. You could ruin them. "Why haven't you used this?" Lucy asked. Rhea smiled. "Because they're not worth my peace. But maybe they are worth yours." Back home, Ivy stared at the documents in disbelief. This would destroy Linda. Publicly. Irreversibly. "It would hurt Nathan too," Lucy said. "Even the people he fooled. His board, his church, his foundation." Ivy met her eyes. "And you'd be the woman who lit the match." Lucy didn't sleep that night. She sat on her balcony as rain lashed the glass behind her. The idea of justice, real, lasting justice, pulsed like a siren in her mind. But so did another thought. Was revenge just another prison? The next day, Lucy received a call from someone she hadn't spoken to since the trial. Malene Harper, her voice was brittle. "We need to meet, it's important." Lucy agreed, curious and wary. They met at a quiet tea cafe. Malene wore no makeup, no jewelry, and barely touched her chamomile. "I left him," she said. "Right after the lawsuit. I didn't know who he really was." Lucy folded her arms. "You were the one holding his hand in Hawaii?" "I know. And I was wrong. But I saw the emails after you exposed him. He planned to use me for investor access. He never loved anyone." Lucy didn't flinch. Malene pulled out a sealed manila envelope. "This is everything I have on Linda. More than Rhea ever gave you. Use it. Or don't. But don't become like them." "Why are you doing this?" "Because I found out I'm pregnant." Lucy's stomach twisted. "I don't want my child growing up under that family's shadow," Malene whispered. For 2 days, Lucy isolated herself. No Ivy, no clients, just silence and memory. She read every document, traced every name, confirmed every transfer. She could ruin them, ruin Linda's finances, erode Nathan's public standing, discredit their family forever. But something held her back, not fear. Clarity. At her next client retreat, a summit for women entrepreneurs in Asheville, Lucy stood before a crowd of 200 and delivered a keynote speech that surprised even her. "I once believed peace came after revenge," she told them. But revenge, like pain, never stays quiet. It whispers for more. She paused, letting the truth settle. Justice matters. But peace is earned by choosing what you'll no longer carry. The crowd rose to a standing ovation. Later that night, she walked to the summit bonfire. In her bag was Ria's folder and Maline's envelope. She fed both to the flames. She chose peace. 2 weeks later, Lucy received a letter. No name, no address. Just a sentence. "You burned the past, but it's not done with you." Ivy insisted it was nothing. But Lucy knew better. Linda wasn't defeated. Nathan wasn't erased. They were wounded beasts now, which meant they'd come back. It had been 4 months since Lucy Reeves chose peace over revenge. 4 months since. She burned the last threads tying her to Linda and Nathan. 4 months of freedom, growth, and unexpected joy. Her business, Reeves Advisory, now had 5 team members. Ivy had moved into a full-time creative director role. Clients trusted Lucy not just for her financial acumen, but her story, her refusal to become what tried to break her. But peace, as she'd learned, wasn't the absence of war. It was merely the pause before the next one. It began with whispers. News articles surfaced. Financial advisor Lucy Reeves under investigation for tax misreporting. Then another. Whistleblower claims internal fraud at Reeves Advisory. Within a week, Lucy lost 3 major clients. Within 2, her business account was frozen. Ivy slammed the laptop shut. "This is manufactured. It's planted. Everything." In those articles is fiction. Lucy sat motionless, jaw tight. "I know who's behind this." She didn't need proof. She felt it in her bones. Linda. 2 days later, Linda Wentworth's face was everywhere, announcing a new financial foundation, Safe Nest, dedicated to ethical empowerment for women in business. Her public comeback was masterful. She held court on morning shows, painting herself as a misunderstood matriarch who had been attacked by Lucy's bitterness. "Forgiveness is my answer," Linda said on Good Morning America. "Even when others try to destroy you, you must rise above," Lucy wanted to scream. But the worst was yet to come. Nathan appeared next. This time not on her doorstep, but in court. He had filed a defamation suit against Lucy, citing damages. From the original exposure, he now claimed her malicious crusade led to personal loss and reputational ruin. Ivy flung the documents across the table. "This is war. They're trying to bankrupt you, mentally, publicly, legally." Lucy nodded. "They want to erase me, make it look like I was the manipulator all along." But unlike before, Lucy was ready. This time, she didn't need to uncover their lies. She needed to expose their pattern. Ria Carmichael returned to her life like a blade pulled from a sheath. "I warned you they weren't done," she said, sipping black coffee across from Lucy. "I should have burned them when I had the chance." "No," Ria said. "Now is the time. You have their attention. And I've been doing some digging." She handed Lucy a thick folder. "This is not just about you. Nathan has ruined 4 women since you." "And Linda?" "She's redirected donor funds from her foundation into fake shell companies across 4 states." Lucy flipped through the documents. "Why are you giving me this?" "Because I've spent 12 years waiting for someone who wouldn't flinch." Lucy launched a strategy, not revenge, but exposure. She began with a podcast interview. Calm, measured, devastating. "I don't want pity," she said. "I want the truth to matter again." She didn't accuse. She revealed emails, receipts, silent testimonies from other victims. Within days, justice for Lucy trended. Then came an anonymous leak of Linda's financial fraud, traced to safe nests, offshore donations. The media flipped. Linda's empire crumbled. Her board stepped down. Her speaking engagements vanished. Donations evaporated. Nathan withdrew his lawsuit, quietly, like a ghost. But Lucy wasn't done. She sent a handwritten note to Linda. "Let's end this. One meeting, no lawyers, no cameras, just truth." They met at a private garden estate Lucy had rented for the afternoon. Linda arrived in all white, still pretending to be the wounded swan. "You think you've won, don't you?" she said. Lucy didn't smile. "This isn't about winning. It's about stopping the bloodline of manipulation. You destroyed your own name." "I made mine mean something again." Linda laughed. "You were never a threat. You were a phase." "No, I was the storm you didn't see coming." Lucy stood and handed Linda a sealed document. Inside is a deal. I walk away. Publicly. Quietly. You dissolve all legal action. And never come near me or my clients again. One violation and I release everything. To every media house, to the IRS, to your investors. Linda's hand shook slightly. "You'd ruin me." "You did that yourself." 2 weeks later, Linda vanished from public life. No farewell statement, no final press tour, just silence. Nathan moved to Chicago, remarried, and pivoted into obscure tech consulting. A shadow of his former self. Lucy stood on the balcony of her new office, 15 floors up, overlooking Raleigh, knowing her story wouldn't be the last of its kind. But it had become something greater than revenge. It had become a blueprint. Year later, Reeves Collective launched, a mentorship network for women navigating divorce, betrayal, and financial abuse. Its tagline, "We don't rebuild, we redesign." Lucy became a sought-after speaker, not for vengeance, but for clarity. Not because she burned bridges, but because she built better ones. On a warm spring evening, Lucy sat beside Ivy on the rooftop of their building, sipping wine, barefoot. "You could have destroyed them completely," Ivy said. "I did," Lucy replied. "Just not the way they expected." A pause. "You ever think about what would have happened if you stayed?" Lucy stared at the skyline. "Sometimes. But then I remember." "Freedom doesn't come from escaping people." She smiled. "It comes from not becoming them.